Hey there, happy Thursday. This is Richard Wilt, aka the Bipolar Bandit. Sorry about last week. We didn't really have anything going on with our DBT group. And I think what I'm going to show you this week might be a continuation of what we had the week prior, but we didn't finish up in our group. I'm going to finish up now, but I'm also going to review. Okay. So without further ado, put my gum in here. That's okay. Oh no. Add to stream. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to make this full screen. There we go. All right. So interpersonal effectiveness handout number 13, ending relationships. All right. A destructive relationship has the quality of destroying or completely spoiling either the quality of the relationship or aspects of yourself, such as your physical body and safety, your self-esteem or sense of integrity, your happiness or peace of mind, or your caring for the other person. An interfering relationship is one that blocks or makes difficult your pursuing goals that are important to you. Wow. Your ability to enjoy life and do things you like doing, your relationships with other persons, or the welfare of others that you love. Okay. Decide to end the relationship in wise mind, never in emotional mind. Yeah, that was something we went over, that you don't want to do this rashly, right? You don't want to do it in the middle or right after an argument or a big blow up or, anything like that. You want to make sure that if you are upset, you let cooler heads prevail a little bit. You take some time, you regroup, and then you use wise mind to go through these steps that we're going to go over now to see if, in fact, you really need to end the relationship, and never do it when you're upset. Okay. So if the relationship is important and not destructive, and there is reason to hope it can be improved, try problem solving to repair a difficult relationship. Sure, if the juice is worth the proverbial squeeze, to quote, I don't know who said that, but anyway. Cope ahead to troubleshoot and practice ending the relationship ahead of time. Nice. Yes. Be direct. Use the dear man, give fast, interpersonal effective skills. That's a lot of acronyms right there. But the good thing is you can reference back to the DBT handbook or go online and see what those acronyms are, right? What steps they actually entail. Practice opposite action for love when you love the wrong person. Yeah, we went over this a fair amount in group. So opposite action might be if you love a person and let's say they don't love you back, or the relationship is destructive or abusive or whatever, it's not beneficial. So opposite action would be, if you call them all the time, stop calling them. If you tell them all the time you love them and care about them, stop doing that, right? Do the opposite of what you normally would do in that situation. Okay, practice safety first. Before leaving a highly abusive or life-threatening relationship, call a local domestic violence hotline or the toll-free National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 for help with safely planning and a referral to a qualified professional. See also the International Directory of Domestic Violence Agencies. I like that because not only maybe to prepare on what you're going to say to this person, but also to prepare for the possible aftermath. Yeah, heavy duty stuff. So this is from DBT Skills Training Handouts and Worksheets, 2nd edition by Marsha Linehan, copyright 2015 by Marsha Linehan. Permission to photocopy this handout is granted to purchasers of DBT Skills Training Handouts and Worksheets, 2nd edition, and DBT Skills Training Manual, 2nd edition, for personal use and for use with individual clients only. Okay. I've bought the book. I'm sharing it with you. Okay. So this is kind of a questionnaire. And some of these actually, we had a little trouble identifying them when we went over them. Okay, so 1A. Okay, we're supposed to, for each A and B pair, check the most effective response. Okay. All right, 1A. If a relationship is threatening your integrity or physical well-being, it is probably your fault and you should see a therapist. B, a relationship threatening your integrity or physical well-being is destructive and you should consider getting out of it. Okay, it's B, but we did do some talking about this, where this was something we learned in AA a lot. Two things can be true. You can be in a destructive relationship, and there could be patterns of behavior that we do subconsciously to attract that into our lives. Now, we don't deserve the abuse, but who knows? Maybe you came from a traumatic environment. Maybe you were treated with disrespect and just a lack of care. And maybe you're accidentally putting that out there and you're attracting these people into your lives. Like, I find that if and this happened to me when I was younger, if the only people I'm meeting or becoming friends with or attracting are people who end up being bad to me, at some point I got to think, all right, not everybody meets shitty people all the time. Why do I keep meeting people and why do they keep treating me that way? And that was really hard for me to do because I wanted to stay in this kind of victim mentality. It's not my fault. And it isn't my fault that I was treated badly, but why do I keep repeating these patterns? So 1B, get out of the relationship. You don't deserve to be in it. And then also, as far as your fault, I would say my part. So if this is a pattern that keeps happening, maybe I need to speak with a professional and work on that. So that way going forward, I attract less of these horrible people into my life. So let me be clear on that. Okay. I think that's being pretty clear. And I had to do that. I was inviting, I was abused as a child pretty badly. I was bullied. And then that kind of begat more behavior because for some reason, I guess I put out there that I was an easy target and that people could take advantage of me. And that's still a big fear of mine. I have to work on that. But I do, because there are some people who that would never happen to, right? Ever. And there's other people it happens to all the time. Now, granted, there are other reasons other than, let's say, the way you're behaving. It could be a number of other reasons that are out of your control. But I always think it's good to maybe find if there is any small part or any small thing we can do to lower those odds. Or at the very least, if you recognize it right away, you just stay clear, right? Yeah. Okay. 2A, relationships should be easy. If it's hard to have a relationship with someone, it's probably not worth it and you should end it. B, most relationships need problem solving to work. So my fellow therapy people and I were kind of going back and forth about this. Yeah, so it's B, but then of course need problem solving to work. I think that's all relative, right? It depends on the problems that you're having with this person and with this relationship. And that would be something that would be best discussed with, your own therapist, right? Your own circle of counselors, as it were. And then also your own personal values. Because some things that, need to be worked on, whether it's a good marriage, a good friendship, a good job, there's still some maintenance that needs to be done. Just like I have plants here and they're wonderful plants. But if I don't work to make sure that those plants are nurtured, they're going to die. They're going to wilt and die. Right. Okay. Let's see. Number 3, if you are in love with someone who does not love you back, practice dear man skills to give the person to love you. Yes. If you are in love with someone who does not love you back, practice an opposite action to love. It's B. Because dear man would be the skill that you would use if you were in a healthy, good relationship with someone who did love you, but you were trying to problem solve. Okay. Dear man skills are for problem solving a good relationship, or let's say a relationship that you want to continue, right? For good reasons. If someone's not in love with you and they don't treat you with respect, it doesn't seem like they're going to, maybe you've tried Dear Man already, then it's time to do some opposite action, because it doesn't feel good to be always putting forth the effort and getting nothing in return. That's not good. It's never good. Okay. Okay. Oh, 4. Okay. 4A, to decide whether to end a relationship, do pros and cons. To decide whether to end a relationship, use give skills. Now, give skills is again more about trying to troubleshoot a relationship you want to continue. Pros and cons is when you're like, okay, I'm not sure here. I've done these other things, the give, the Dear Man. Now I'm starting to think maybe this isn't really workable for me. That's when you would do a pros and cons. And you want to make sure you do those in wise mind, not in emotional mind. Not logical mind, not emotional mind, wise mind, right? In the middle. A little bit of emotion, a little bit of logic, perfect mix. So that might mean you might have to do some distress tolerance or emotional regulation. You may have to do some of those other skills before you get to wise mind, before you can do that, which often means you have to talk to your therapist if you have one. Hopefully you have one, or at the very least you have the paperwork and the documentation to go over. Okay. Number 5, in the middle of an argument, you are so mad at the other person, you don't want to have anything to do with this person anymore. A, you should end the relationship right then. You may forget all about how enraging the person is if you wait. B, you should get out of emotional mind and into wise mind and evaluate whether to stay or leave the relationship. It's got to be B. I am in a very good relationship with my wife. I love my wife very much. She loves me. She's a wonderful person. I've been mad sometimes, and I've had, like, you get mad, you in the moment, you think something, like, God, that's it. This is ridiculous. Or, and then you calm down. You're like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I was going a little overreacting there, or so I think this is good, because especially if you, like me, have been a victim of trauma and abuse, and you kind of tell yourself, I'm not going to have people treat me that way again now that I'm older. And so you kind of put up a guard, right? Where you're like, if anybody does anything that I think that they're trying to hurt me, by God, they're gone. It's good. It's good to, like, realize you need to put up boundaries, but arguments happen even with the best of relationships. Okay. 6A. If ending a destructive relationship will be difficult, it's most effective to stay together. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh about that. 6B, if ending a destructive relationship will be difficult, it's most effective to cope ahead of time, and that's B. Especially if it's an abusive relationship. You can't stay in it long term. Now, that doesn't mean that, it might mean that you have to give yourself some runway before you end the relationship. Alexa, stop. You may, you may actually have to do some of the work with the DBT skills, talk to your therapist, talk to your group. Okay. And then set aside a time, a day, maybe even a location, that you feel comfortable, and do it in the right way. And I think that's always the best way to do it. Okay. 7A, in an abusive relationship, if the person hits you, you should use your interpersonal skills to tell the person you are leaving the relationship. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. 7B, in an abusive relationship, you should seek professional assistance to leave the relationship. It's got to be B, especially right after, if someone hits you. It's probably not the best time anyway to tell them. That certainly won't help matters. And usually if it's gotten to that point, that person's not going to, generally listen to your what decisions you come up with anyway, right? They've, obviously if it's gotten to that point, it's probably good to get some help. All jokes aside. It reminds me, I I ran away from home my senior year of high school. My dad had just knocked me around one too many times, and I literally just dove out the window and I ran and I never came back. And I guess if I was in DBT at that time, I guess I would have handled that differently, you know? But at that moment, I didn't have any other recourse. I didn't have any other skills, any other allies. Luckily, I had friends who took me in, and they allowed me to stay with them, which is what I did. So when I laugh about this, it's not because I think it's funny. It's maybe because I kind of recognize some of this stuff, you know, with my own experience. Okay. 8A, if you feel consistently invalidated in a relationship, it is probably your fault. 8B, if you are constantly invalidated, the relationship is likely destructive. Okay, so probably B, right? Now, we were having a talk about this, what was it, yesterday? No, Monday. God, time flies. So if you feel constantly invalidated, meaning if you feel like people are disrespecting you, and it's not just this one person, maybe it's kind of this overall thing, then maybe it's something with you. But if this is a relationship where you know, and you've worked with your therapist, and it's pretty clear this person is not treating you with any sort of respect, they're completely invalidating you and your point of view, yeah, the relationship is destructive, obviously. Okay, so ending relationships. So this is good. Fill out the sheet to outline to end unwanted relationship when the relationship is not abusive. Okay, so this is when I would maybe interpret that if it's not a crisis, if it's not an emergency, right? If it's just, you know, the relationship is no longer serving you. And there's other, essentially use this unless your well-being is at stake, you know, your physical, you know, if it's really, you know, physical or severe emotional and mental abuse, and you feel like you're actually in danger. Yeah. Don't fuck around. Go get help. Please go get help and let them help you extricate yourself. That's serious stuff, you know, serious stuff. Okay. Relationship problem. Describe how the relationship is destructive or interfering with your life. Okay. Wow. Let's think about this. Destructive or interfering with my life. I'm going to try to do this, I think, with you all, maybe. You know what? I'll just give a quick example. So, or interfering. Okay, so yes, I had a relationship where I felt it was one-sided, where I would try to reach out to this person to get together or have a cup of coffee or something like that, or maybe I would need help, and they would basically blow me off. But whenever they needed something, that's when they would reach out. That's the only time they would reach out, and they would be completely unresponsive otherwise. And I felt like I was being used, and I probably was being used. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily destructive, but it could be argued that it is destructive for your self-esteem, right? And interfering, yeah, it's interfering because you're wasting your time on someone that doesn't respect your time. So you could be spending that time doing something else. Okay. List wise mind pros and cons for ending the relationship. So for me, pros would have been, I feel better about myself. I don't feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I can use that time to find friends who might want a more fair sort of relationship, give and take, right? I'm not wasting that time on that person. I can use that time to pursue my own pursuits and dreams and hobbies, and also find people who we have more in common with, and we respect each other, and we want to have a good relationship. That's a good pro. What would a con be? Well, a con would be I would feel uncertain or afraid, or I would be afraid of how the person's going to react, or, you know, the fear of like not finding someone else, or what if I ended it prematurely? You know, the fear of making a mistake, or fear of being alone and abandoned. Like those are very real feels. I mean, real fears, excuse me. So script ideas for Dear Man, give fast to end relationship. So Dear Man, D, describe the relationship situation or problem that is the core reason you want to end the relationship. Okay, so for me, it would be because this person is all take and no give, and yeah, I'm not getting anything out of it. You know, they kind of reach out to me when it's convenient, and otherwise they could give a shit less, right? Yeah, express feelings, opinions about why the relationship needs to end for you. Well, because it doesn't feel good to be giving to someone and then them not give you anything in return. You know, if all they want is something from you when it's convenient. It's kind of like, I would use the analogy, maybe it's someone who's like a booty call, right? They only call you when they want to hook up. You know, they never take you out. They just come over, and maybe that's okay. But eventually you're like, you know, maybe I want more of this person, especially if that person is having meaningful relationships with somebody else. Right? Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Anyway, ascertain your decision to end the relationship directly. Circle the part you use later in broken record. Stay mindful if you need it. Yes, yes, yes. This broken record thing is very good. Meaning pick a core phrase and repeat that sucker over and over again, because when people argue, they're going to want to try to knock you off base, right? They're going to try to, like, you know, bring up false equivalencies, or they're going to attack you. They're going to try to change the subject, or whataboutism, all these other things. That's okay. You let them talk and you keep repeating that statement. You keep repeating that statement. And I got to tell you, I've been able to do this. And what you notice is that people keep frantically trying to different things. And when you keep staying on message like that, it feels pretty good, because eventually they don't know what the fuck what's going on. Excuse my language, but hey. Reinforcing comments to make about positive outcomes for both of you once a relationship is ended. Hey, yeah, you know, maybe you'll meet someone that you feel like you can have a more of a friendship with, and that, you know, you would feel okay with helping them and being with them. And wait a minute, let me think about this. So yeah, let them know that, hey, it must not be fulfilling to you to have someone that is not really a friend if all you're doing is reaching out to them when you want something. That's not good for you. That's not really a way to develop a relationship. Yeah, maybe you should meet people who you have more in common with too. I think you'd be a lot happier. I know I would be. Okay. Mindful and appearing confident comments to make about how and when to end if needed. Mindful and appearing confident comments to make about how and when to end. Okay. Negotiating comments to make plus turn the table comments to avoid getting off track and responding to insults or diversions. Yeah, all this stuff is really, really great, because all of this shit is going to happen, especially if this person doesn't have good relationship skills, which maybe they don't, which is the reason why you're ending the relationship. So immediately they're going to go into survivor mode, right? They're going to get out of their wise mind. They're going to go into their emotional mind, and they're going to start throwing haymakers and Hail Marys, and they're going to try everything in their power to not, like, stick with what the discussion is about. It's just human nature. It doesn't mean they're bad. It's just what happens. So to have phrases and to have, like, I don't want to use the word comebacks, but to have things in your pocket already that you can just kind of repeat on autopilot. Because again, like, all the other stuff they want to talk about, who gives a shit? You're not there to talk about that. You're there to talk about this one specific thing. Okay. And in order for you to express that, in order for you to do that effectively, you've got to stay on message, which means don't let them knock you off message. And they will if they can. Doesn't mean they're bad. Maybe they are bad, but it's just human nature. We all do it when we're in that way. Validating comments about the other person's wishes, feelings, or history of the relationship. Sure, yeah. If they bring up valid points or they do a little bit of whataboutism, say, yeah, And maybe what I would probably do is say, yeah, you have a good point. You have a good point that in this situation, I wasn't fair, which to me is more evidence that we should end this relationship. Yeah. So acknowledge the comment and say, yeah, thank you. That's one more reason why we should end this. So you just take their comment, you acknowledge it, and then you use it as part of your case to get out. Easy manner comments. Okay. This is, to keep things light, to keep things like, so you don't escalate things, to have comments kind of in your back pocket. This is really good. Fair comments. Like having all of this is really, really good. And then practicing and role playing. And then really kind of, it's almost, I don't want to say like you're memorizing a script like an actor, but it can be that way, right? Or you could have a little sheet, a little cheat sheet. Who cares if they, oh, what are you doing with your cheat sheet? Hey, this is how I'm deciding to do things. This is my way of handling it. Okay. Have your comments, just kind of look at them, repeat them, say, look, I know that when things get emotional, I tend to get off track. And it's important to me that I respect you and I respect myself and I respect our time right now. And I want to stay on point. I want to stay on track. And I don't want to, this to digress into something else. So yes, I have some comments here and I'm going to use them. You don't have to apologize for that. You're fucking doing the shit. Good for you. Check off opposite actions for love you have been doing. Yep. So yeah, remind myself why love is not justified. Did the opposite of loving urges. Avoided contact with reminders of loved ones. Yeah, this is great. Like this is all so good. Oh my God. I wish I would have had this one. Hold on here. When I was younger. Golly, man. I'll tell you, my life would have been a lot easier. My life would have been a lot easier had I had these skills when I was younger. But better late than never. Better late than never. It's never too late to get better, and to have better relationships and to grow and improve. And that's the cool thing about life is we can always be better. I can be a lot better. Anyway, that's it. I will put this sheet. I think the sheet is already, in the description from the last video, but I will just repost it anyway. Y'all have a great day. Have a great weekend. I love you all very much. Please, if you're in an abusive relationship and your well-being is, if you're really in danger, please, go to, hold on. I'm going to put this in the description also, because I do think it's important. Hold on a second. Yeah, here we go. Please, before you do anything. All right. Number one, get the hell out of there. Okay. Number two, call this number, get help. Have some outside help, have some help from people who are experts at this, who this is their job. Okay. If it comes to that, because that is the most important thing above all. You got to stay alive. You got to stay healthy. Please. Okay. I've been there. I had to do it. I ran away from home because of things were bad. And I put up with them for a long time. I think I was 17 by the time I left. I don't think I had turned 18. 17 years. Yeah. And it was scary. It was like the scariest thing I've ever done. But luckily I had friends. Yeah. So I'm not saying this like it's easy, because it's not. And I've done it. Okay. I love all of you. Until next week. All right. Have a nice day. Okay.